So they built an entire, now multi-billion-dollar corporation out of selling one of the most commoditized products in the world by having one keystone statement in their positioning. It wasn't necessarily the product. It was the position, the delivery of the product. People ask a lot, when we're putting a product in the market, how do we determine the entry point or the position of the product, right? There's a big point, where do you enter the market with a product, right? It's sort of like branding. We talked about all the stages you go through to create a brand, a logo, and a name, and a tagline that most companies don't do. They don't think about it. Most people also don't think about where they enter the market. This is what I think I'm really just naturally good at, weirdly enough, because I've always been able to do it. I can go to a shelf at a grocery store, look at it, and determine where there's a void in that market. I was really good at it when I sold to big box retailers. I'm still pretty good at it in the online space. But I didn't have a system for it until this. And this is a really much better method than I used in the past. So here's how you differentiate yourself with a value curve. Identify 3 to 7 key value factors for your industry, product, or service. What do your people actually value? What do the people in your market actually value? Peter Drucker has a book. There's a copy of it out here on the shelf it's called The 5 Most Important Questions by Peter Drucker. I can tell them to you pretty quick, but if I can remember them all, you'll ever ask your organization. This is a terrific book, right? The number one, when Drucker would buy a company, or start a company or to decide to start a new line or a new division, the number one question was, what is our mission? Why do we deserve to exist, right? Isn't there already somebody doing pink elephant toothpaste twirlers, right? Why do we deserve to exist? What's our mission? 2, what do our customers value? 3, what makes us different? Why would they choose us over someone else? 5, what is our plan? And 4, what is our plan? And 5, how will we know when we won? So if those 5 questions are answered at the beginning of a company, really does matter. So in this line, when you're starting to think about this product, 3 to 7 key factors that seem to matter to buyers in the market. Do they care if a product is natural or not natural, right? Like in certain markets, that really matters, especially if you're eating something or putting it on your skin, it tends to matter a lot more than, like, for instance, if you can go to, who here's a real environmentalist? Who really is a green buyer? All right, it's got 2, 3 green buyers. All right, if your house was infested with roaches, would you buy an organically friendly roach killer?
Mm-hmm. You manufacture them.
You would. If your house was infested with roaches.
If it works as well as the conventional.
But you don't know. You can only buy one. You only got the money to buy one.
Oh, then I'd go with conventional.
You'd go with a deadly chemical, right? Most people will. We found that. I used to sell green pesticides.
Yeah.
And even in the greenest of markets, right? When it gets down to rats and ants and cockroaches,
bed bugs,
I want the deadliest shit. Can I buy arsenic? You know, they want to buy the deadliest shit in the world, and to hell with saving the planet. They really don't care, right? So think about your market, how what people say they'll do and what people will actually do through very different things, right? What factors should be reduced below industry norms? What factors should be raised above industry norms? So what things that are bad about the product could you reduce? What things that are good about the product could you accentuate? And what benefits should be created that are not currently offered, and which features should be eliminated from the industry altogether? What things really don't matter? What things should you just ignore, right? So, yeah. So this is a really good example. Does everybody know what The Body Shop is? Yeah. Right? So these guys had a really good run a few years ago. They're a little bit they're a little bit forgotten now. But they did really well because they went polar opposite pretty much of the current conventional wisdom of the market. So the price of most cosmetics is moderately high, right? The price of their cosmetics were low. These were skincare. Packaging and advertising was super high. The whole cosmetics skincare industry runs on beautiful packaging that costs 5 times what's in the container, right? The Body Shop made a point of saying, yeah, we're in a cheap container because we have put all the good shit inside, right? We're not going to charge you $4 for a jar. High tech and science, cosmetics, tons of chemicals. You read a cosmetic label, there's 40 ingredients on it. Read a Body Shop label, there's 2, right? So they went to simplicity. You can read our labels. They made a point of all these things. They really attacked the market. Glamorous image. Everybody has beautiful pictures of models. The Body Shop used normal looking people, normal sized, average looks. Their models were everybody, right? Natural ingredients. Cosmetics industry used very few. They used 100%, other than some mild preservatives. Occasionally I had to use a mild preservative just for legality reasons. And then the healthy representation of life, cosmetics industry didn't even have it. When they came along, when they really broke ground on this, there was no healthy, they weren't saying, L'Oreal wasn't saying anything about appearing healthier. They were just talking about appearing younger and hotter. Didn't care about healthy at all. And they really talked about that healthy glow. Great example of this, really simple example, but I think it's still the best keystone statement in history. A keystone's like the thing that really sets you apart. Domino's Pizza, when Domino's launched, in one of the most commoditized industries in the world, right? Pizza. I mean, got everybody in the world, and there were 15 pizza shops down the street, every college campus, around every house, everywhere, right? Everybody wanted pizza delivery, but people didn't really buy it because the pizza always came cold and it always came late. Cold usually because it was late, right? So they sat down and wrote a simple statement: hot pizza delivered in 30 minutes or less, or it's free. Because a lot of people said they delivered fast and said they delivered hot, but if it came in slow and cold, fuck it, there's your pizza, right? There was no risk reversal. So the risk reversal at the end really made the difference, right? But if you listen to the statement, it says nothing about being good or delicious. It didn't matter, because to most people, bad pizza is pretty good, right? They cared about it being hot and they cared about it being fast. So they built an entire, now a multi-billion-dollar corporation out of selling one of the most commoditized products in the world by having one keystone statement in their positioning. It wasn't necessarily the product. It was the position, the delivery of the product, right? So it can be a lot of things. So you can come up with your own, grid. You can add things to your grid, those 3 to 5 things we talked about earlier. But here are things that almost are always key factors. Price. Price is always a factor. Don't let anybody tell you that it's not. There are certain marketers I hear that'll pitch and they'll say, if you put the right product in the right message, price is irrelevant. Bullshit. Price is always relevant. There's always a lever. Every offer that you're ever going to make is a balance between risk, between price, and value, right? People make a weighed decision every single time, no matter what. So the more value you can stack on, the more price you can allow. But price, quality, package, service, newness, speed, and origin, right? Those things are almost always universal factors. It's really best if you can add a few of your own factors to that. Things that are industry specific to you, right? Does that give you guys a general idea?